Hello and welcome to Open Your Mind Radio. You have myself, Alan James.
Myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Sunday, the 12th of August, 2018, and it's not a bad day out there. Temperature's quite warm, quite humid today, actually.
The rain was lovely and warm, actually.
Yeah, exactly. You're in Ireland when the old rain is warm. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'd just like to say a few people have emailed us and contacted us via Facebook and just said that they enjoy the show, and one of their highlights, so what the thing that they enjoy at the end of the week is being able to put their feet up and have a cup of tea and listen to the show, and they look forward to it. So thanks a lot for emailing us and letting us know about that. That's very nice of you to for us to be a highlight of the week. Thanks very much. Yesterday now we had the United We Start round table, and the guest that we had on was Ollie Damigard. And Ollie had great information, and we were throwing around a few topics and talking about stuff. So if you want to check out the United We Start round table, go over to unitedwestart.org, and the latest podcast is up there. So anytime you get bored or you want some information, pop over there, and that's where you'll find the podcast of the United We Start round table. Right, our guest on the show tonight is a lady called Siobhan Brady, who's a spiritual medium. I know Siobhan personally. I had a reading from Siobhan a few weeks ago, and we did a bit of bartering, and we'll talk a bit more about that when we get Siobhan in. But before we crack on, let's find out about the communication channels.
Okay, communication channels.
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
Yes, thanks very much, Mary. Yes, as we said, the OYM chat room, if you want to log in there, and there's a plethora of people already logged in there, just navigate your way to oymradio.com, and you will see the link there for the chat room. And if you have registered already, then you can just stick in the old username and the password, and you can log in there, and you can pop your questions up there for a guest, Siobhan Brady, this evening, and you can also chat to the lovely people that are already in the chat room. We also stream on People's Internet Radio as well, and the chat room over there, you can access that also, and if you like, you can pop up some questions there. You can also, if you like, you can call us in. 046 927 1212 is the phone number, and if you're ringing in from outside the Republic of Ireland, it's 00353 469 271212, and those numbers can be found on the website as well. And info@oymradio.com if you fancy dropping us an email. Now, there's no guarantee that emails will be read during the live show, so don't expect an immediate reply. And we also have on the website as well links there to the YouTube channel, to Skype, to anti-social media, Facebook, and also to Twitter. Still no link up there for the MeWe page, but we are actually on the MeWe platform as well. So if you are on MeWe, mewe.com, you can just look us up on there and be our buddies and our friends. We also have the TuneIn Radio app. That's a free application for your smartphone or your iPhone. That's available to the link there on the bottom of the website as well. And loads of lovely colour banners that you can click on. And one of them, I think there's actually one there will bring you to the little OYM shop if you fancy picking up something for the weekend.
For the weekend?
I don't know.
Suits you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we don't do that kind of thing for the weekend. Okay.
Well, a nice book or something.
A nice book or something, okay. And now we had a little bit of a change around with the cabling, and we weren't happy with the audio quality. I know the audio quality going out was fine, but in-house on the monitors we weren't too happy. We are now much happier with it, but if there's any issues with the audio from your end, from the listeners' end, just let us know in the chat room.
Well, I just like to say that the cable that's running above our heads at the moment with your washing hanging on it, that is a bit of a distraction.
Exactly. Well, look, it has to be plugged in. You know, it has to be done. But, yeah, so if you have any, if there's any issues with the audio, let us know. But there shouldn't be. It should be fine. We have tested it. Right, Steve's going to kick us off with the first thing on the list.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, ScienceAlert.com reports that humans are about to unleash an irreversible hothouse air Earth. Scientists warn the point of no return. It says the coasts are gone, the waves crash high into what were once mountains. Many have perished, for food is scarce and the deadly heat is inescapable. This bleak future scenario, called a hothouse Earth, could be realised sooner than we think. Scientists warn if the planet breaches a pivotal climate threshold from which there may ultimately be no coming back. That's scary.
It is, yeah. Well, you know, with the temperature increases, I'm not saying global warming, but I mean, this summer has been fantastic, I have to say. But
it has been, yeah.
But there are a lot of countries, like in Australia, the farmers have been real drought issues down there, real problems. And obviously, we had Harry on talking about Cape Town. He was down in Cape Town sorting out the droughts down there. With the weather modification equipment. So there's an awful lot going on, and obviously California now with the fires over there, you know, seems to be an awful lot going on. Anyway, next thing on the list now, this has actually been on a number of websites, not just the NewYorkPost.com, but I just took this off the New York Post, but a number of websites have had it on there, and it's saying a massive rogue planet with unexplained aurora glow discovered drifting far beyond their solar system. Newly identified object is 12 times bigger than Jupiter. A planet more than 12 times bigger than Jupiter has been found drifting alone through space around 20 light years away from Earth. The rogue planet is not attached to any star and is the first object of its kind to be discovered using a radio telescope. Both its mass and its enormous strength of its magnetic field challenge what scientists know about the variety of astronomical objects found in the depths of space. Scientists find planets where life could have begun, just like Earth. The object is right at the boundary between a planet and a brown dwarf or failed star, and is giving us some surprises that can potentially help us understand magnetic processes on both stars and planets, said Dr. Melendi Kao, an astronomer at Arizona State University. Interesting stuff. There is a lot going on.
But 20 light years away, I mean, what's that in
dog years? Dog years. I haven't a clue.
You know, I mean, because I mean, like, is it something that we need to be worried about, concerned about, or will it, you know, will it make an appearance in our lifetime?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We it's just information at the moment, so just keep an eye out for that.
Okay. News.com in Australia said Air Force silent after huge meteor hits Earth near a US military base. It goes on to say a huge meteor struck Earth near a US military base, but America's Air Force has stayed silent on the fireball event. A meteor hit the Earth and exploded with a 2.1 kiloton of force last month, but the US Air Force has made no mention of the event. NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab confirmed an object of unspecified size travelling at 24.4 kilometres per second struck the Earth in Greenland, just 43 kilometres north of an early missile warning. Tool Air Base on the 25th of July 2018. Director of the Nuclear Information Project for the Federation of American Scientists, Hans Christian Andersen, he tweeted about the impact, but America's Air Force has not reported on the event. I wonder why.
That's a bit concerning that they don't tell you this has happened.
Yeah, 2.1 kilotons, it sounds like a lot. That'd make a nasty hole in your back garden.
It would indeed. Well, you wouldn't have to, you know, cut your grass down, you'd be fine.
Get rid of that lawnmower.
Oh my God, it's going to be one of these nights. Okay, how's your week?
My week's been fine. I've had a busy week work-wise, but I did manage to spare my 2 hours to sit in on the round table yesterday, as Alan mentioned at the beginning. And I have to say, a great bunch of people. And Ole Damigard, he's kind of been off the radar for a while. We have tried to contact him before on several occasions, and he kind of has been off doing his own thing. So we're delighted to have him back on the round table yesterday. So again, that podcast is up on the website for you to download and check it out. I have to say, the 2 hours flew by, absolutely flew by. The only other thing I want to really mention is, my son came down to me today quite concerned. He says, Dad, do you know a woman called Mary Corral, Kural? And I said, no. And my wife even looked at me with that, that look, that suspicious look going, Who the hell is this Mary? And I said, no, I don't know her. So we went up and we had a look at his Skype, and I came back down, I logged onto my Skype, and I looked up this Mary Corral, and he said, oh, that's her, that's the avatar. And I went, okay. So I sent her a message, And I said, "Hi, Mary." I said, "My son just had a missed call from you on Skype. I'm just wondering, do you know him? Because he doesn't seem to know you." And she writes back, "Hi." And I went, "Okay, I don't know if you've seen the first message, Mary, but can you just have maybe address that, because my son is a little bit kind of scared here because he doesn't know who you are." She then writes back, "I'm Mary. I live in Canada. I'm 28. I've just moved into an apartment. I'm single. I'm new to Skype. Can we be friends?"
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously I accepted her invitation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I said, "No," I said, "Unfortunately, Mary," I said, "that's not the way we work." I said, "My son is only 11 years of age," and I said, "When someone rings him on Skype who he doesn't know," I said, "it's kind of overstepping a boundary. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to block you from my Skype and also his. Have a nice day." And of course, James says to me, "Why do you think that woman wanted to contact me?" I says, "Probably because she's a 40-year-old man."
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And I said, "She's obviously come across you because I've never seen this before, and it's new to me. You know, earbuds,
Yeah,
right? Earbuds in the ear with headphones over the earbuds,
yeah.
right? Because he's online gaming and he's on Skype talking to his mates at the same time. So, and the Skype is plugged into a little laptop, and the obviously the gaming headset is plugged into the Xbox. So the earbuds with the headphones over it."
Right, okay, yeah.
He's multitasking, I don't know.
Okay, maybe he's going to be set for the Air Force.
Maybe he is, I just don't know.
Multitasking, I don't know, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Mary Corral, I'm sorry, I know you're 28 and single, but, I had to do it. The only last thing I want to mention is, we mentioned about coming up on the 31st of July about a prediction from Elisa Harrison that something was going to kick off and energy waves are going to be hitting the planet, and it was going to happen possibly over a 4-week period. Now, I think we're a couple of weeks into it now, and now the only thing I've noticed, but I've noticed that beforehand, was the aches and pains. I'm getting more aches and pains, and I'm just putting it down to age. I don't know if it is energy waves coming into the planet, but I just want to put it out there to anyone who's listening. Have you noticed any changes in your surroundings or yourself since the 31st of July? Up to now, it's what, the 12th, so we're talking about 13 days in. Have you noticed any changes, anything weird or wonderful or strange? If you have, if you're on the chat room, just pop it on the chat room, or if you're listening to the podcast, just info at oymradio.com. Yeah, so that would be appreciated, just to see if anyone else is feeling anything.
I'm getting cold symptoms.
Blowing
my nose and stuff like that, and thinking, we're in the middle of, August.
Yeah.
So, and they did say that's part and parcel of it, if you get symptoms like that.
Okay.
And like you, aches and pains, and you think, where's that coming from? And it could be down just to old age.
Well,
but it's too uncanny that it's at this particular time that all these things are happening.
Well, that's true.
That's the one thing I'm kind of where the alarm bells are ringing, going, hang on a minute. All of a sudden everything's okay, and then all of a sudden then...
Well, you can probably notice if your sinuses aren't blocked. You can probably smell the DP off me, because I've had to, before I come up, I was actually sitting with the Pain Genie pads on my back for about 2 hours earlier on, because my lower back is sore, so I had the Pain Genie on that, and then I had to rub some DP into it as well and pop a couple of paracetamol before I come up. So yeah, that's a strange one. Anyway, yeah, that's my week done and does it. How's your week?
Alright, just a couple of things before we bring our guest in, Siobhan. Just a couple of things to talk about. Now, apparently RTE have reported that Cork County Council are spending $2 million on creating a habitat to protect the right to life of Kerry slugs. Right? $2 million on Kerry slugs.
They wouldn't spend that on the residents of Kerry.
Yeah. Now, you have homelessness and evictions and everything taking place, and they're spending $2 million on Kerry slugs. Now, so I don't know what's next. $3 million on a fly colony next. I don't know. That's just unbelievable. That's just a complete waste of money. And this is what our taxes are going to. Because some bright spark on the council has a love of slugs, and he's obviously justified the cost of spending it on the Kerry slug.
Well, I suppose the fact that he is a politician, and they obviously come from that breed of animal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, good one. Yeah, and the last thing on the list is, do you remember we had Nancy Hopkins and Walt Silva on the show, and Nancy agreed to send Delia. Delia is an 80-year-old woman down the country, and she suffers some hyper-electric sensitivity, and it's really, really severe. She's suffering from it really bad. And I talk to Delia on the phone every now and again. And so Nancy agreed to send her a free starter kit for the shungite. So Nancy sent it off to me. I sent it down to Delia, and Delia put on the magnet, the shungite magnet on the fridge, and she said within half an hour of doing that, it worked. She said the actual fridge was colder and the food was colder, and she went and applied all the other bits, and she said definitely it's had a positive effect on her. She said she feels better with that starter kit, which is brilliant, because if anybody's going to know if it works, it's going to be somebody that suffers from hyperelectric sensitivity, which is Delia. So Delia, she's not on the internet. She doesn't have a laptop or anything, and she wanted to buy more stuff. So what I did is I contacted Nancy, and I got Nancy's phone number, and I passed it off to Delia, and then Delia now could ring Nancy direct and order some more bits, which is exactly what she did. So Nancy's sending over some more bits from her catalogue, so Delia can use them around the house. But I have to say, she's delighted, and it's working. She's happy, and she said there's certain headaches she's not getting now and stuff like that. So that's brilliant. That's just exactly what we wanted to hear with the shungite kit. So thanks to Nancy for gifting Delia the free kit. Much appreciated. Delia really enjoys it, and she said it's working. So that's it, really. Right, okay, without further ado, we're going to get our guest on, and Steve's going to give us a bio first.
Okay, yes, Siobhan's spiritual awakening began in February 2011, and it was nothing short of a baptism of fire. It happened literally overnight, where she went from being a normal mum to hearing God, angels, and past loved ones speaking to her. This was very exciting, but brought also a lot of upheaval and sometimes painful but necessary changes to her life. Moving ahead on her path was sometimes very difficult, but she persevered with the help and support of her angels. She went on to learn Reiki and became a Reiki master inside a year, and began doing healings and angel card readings. She also trained in reflexology, hopi ear candles, Indian head massage. Now 7 years on, Siobhan teaches psychic and mediumship development classes, all levels of Reiki. Reiki. Well, I say Reiki, you say Reiki. I say tomatoes, you say
Let's
tomatoes.
call the whole thing off.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what that is. Amadeus, shamanic Reiki. Holds healing circles once a week. Takes one-to-one clients for healings and card readings, and continues to study for her own development as she goes along her own path. It is so important to teach and learn as we go, so that we are all developing all the time through the great guidance that is there for us all when we tap into it, says Siobhan.
Brilliant stuff. Good evening, Siobhan. How are you doing?
Good evening, Alan. I'm very well.
Great. Thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. It's great.
Brilliant stuff. We're going to talk about all things spiritual.
Can we just put this to bed? Reiki or Reiki?
Reiki. Yeah,
Reiki. And maybe in America it's Reiki, but over here it's Reiki.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. People pronounce it differently. So
really, it mattered enough to Alan. He had to stop.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'd be a little bit like that myself over certain things. It's Amadeus Reiki as well. The shamanic Reiki is Amadeus.
Oh yeah.
Reiki.
That was a good song in the 80s.
I will not tell you.
Amadeus.
Yeah. Now you see. Now hang on a second. Just to put this just to clear this one up, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, where did you get Siobhan's bio from?
Siobhan sent it to me.
Right, okay, because I've lost it now. Amadeus,
yeah.
Amadeus,
how have you got it spelt on that?
I spelt it.
Did you? You have it spelled as 2 words.
It is written as 2 words.
No, it's not. The song is 1 word. Now I'm getting my own back on you now. Now, getting my own back.
Okay.
Good luck, I'm going home.
Okay, right. Let's crack on. Right, thanks a lot for coming on, Siobhan. Now, spiritual mediumship. Something that I have to say I'm familiar with. I've been involved in it since 2004 to 2005. When I was in London. Mark was my circle leader, and when I came back from London, I set up my own spiritual circle. So it's something that I am familiar with, and something, we're going to be talking about a lot of things on the spiritual side, and important things that we'll get through and educate people to. And if people are going to be looking for a medium to get readings and stuff like that, what to watch out for, because in any business, regardless, whether it's spiritual or whether it's plumbing, you're always going to get your shysters and the charlatans trying to screw you and get money off you. So you just have to be careful. So we will be going through that. But what I want to get to first, before we go down the road and start talking about all different things regarding the spiritual side, expand a bit more on your awakening when it happened. What exactly happened that kind of pushed you over into listening and hearing, spirit entities coming in and spiritual beings coming in?
Yeah, it was, as I said, I just went from being an ordinary mother, I suppose, and housewife to literally overnight this happening. I was in a choir, and we were away doing a TV show at the time, and I walked into the restaurant where we were all meeting for food, and there was no chair for me to sit on apart from this man that had joined the choir about 6 months previous. Sat down, started having a conversation with him. My brother, who was also in the choir, had told me that this man had gifts. He could give people messages from past loved ones and all of that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. I love all that kind of stuff. So we got chatting over dinner. And then by the end of the evening, he was showing me a pendulum with a rose quartz crystal on the end of it. And he was showing me how to use it. And so I thought this was great fun because I had about 3 or 4 drinks in me at this point. And the pendulum just kept swinging really, really wildly over my hand. And he kept saying, oh my God, your energy is amazing and so strong and blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, the next day then I knew something had happened, but I couldn't actually say that I had felt anything physically or that I felt any different, apart from the fact that my energy, I felt like I was floating. I was high as a kite. That's the only way I could describe it. And I was still holding on to this pendulum that he had given me, and I had it in my pocket, and I kept just rubbing the rose quartz. And over the course of the day, as I was rubbing it, it just broke in two in my pocket. And I went to him and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is after breaking, and he still just kept going on about my energy and how amazing it was and how all this stuff was coming for me. And so the next night then we got on the bus to come home after the show, and I was sitting talking to my friend, and she's having a full-scale conversation with me, and I'm just looking at her, and all I can hear is Mary, 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 and I can hear it in my head, and I'm kind of looking at her as if she should be able to hear it too, but she just kept talking. And then I'm going, well, she's a sister Mary, this girl has a sister, maybe that's just a thought coming into my head. And then I knew there was another Mary in the choir, and I was like, maybe it's her, but it was all just coming in so kind of strangely, and I didn't understand it. So I went home. Next day I get up and to take the kids to school, and then I came back and I lie down on the couch because I was exhausted, and I fell asleep, and I woke up. And I knew straight away it was my uncle's voice, and he wasn't being. He was saying wellies into my ear, which is one of the last memories that I would remember of him standing in my grandmother's kitchen, singing, and he had a pair of wellies on that were kind of turned down. You know, you'd see on the characters in Last of the Summer Wine or something like that. Yeah. And that was my last kind of vivid memory of him, and then I realised that Mary was his mother, my grandmother. So it just started to come from there, and it just kept coming and coming and coming. And then the angels started coming, and I started channel writing. And then my friend, who had sort of told me all this at the start, he said, we need to get you grounded, because I was literally walking around like a quivering bloke. And I was as high as a kite. Now, there's no other way to put it. And I went to an angel shop within a week. This happened to me on the Saturday, Sunday. Then the following Friday, I went to a shop, an angel shop, to get crystals. And the gentleman was with me. We met a lovely lady in the shop. But my grandmother was just fully vocal in my head the whole time. And this other lady, and she kept it was a running commentary. It just didn't stop. And as we started speaking to the lady in the shop, I'm standing talking, and then I just turn around and I go across the shop, and there was a chalice on a shelf, and I went straight in and I picked it up and I turned around and I said, I didn't know what was happening. I was holding it into my heart and then holding it out straight, facing them across the shop. And I said, what's happening here? And they're looking at me, and the lady said, oh my God, she says, you've totally changed. You look completely different. You look like a wizard. I was like, what? Well, okay, all right. So I just put the chalice back on the shelf, and I walked back over to where we were standing talking, and within 5 seconds I was wheeled right around, back over, And I picked it up again, and I started taking off with, like, I had no control over myself, straight over the other side of the shop towards a window that was whitened out. And I was literally just moving totally left shoulder first, just bringing myself sideways across the room. And I said, oh my God, I said, what's happening? I was starting to get afraid now at this point. And another lady who was the owner was there, and she said to me, you're being brought to the light. And I said, what? And she said, are you getting emotional? And I said, yes. And then I was down on the floor crying, still holding the chalice. And I could hear in my mind, I've got you, I've got you, I've got you, I've got you. But I couldn't let go of this chalice for love or money. And my friend then came over and he picked me up. And I didn't know this man all that terribly well. You know, I knew him from choir and stuff like that. And I just put my hands on his face and I looked straight, I swear to God, straight into his soul. And we had been buying crystals and stuff before that, but the next thing I was like, I have to go home to get the kids, to pick them up from school. So we left the shop, like, I don't know how it must have looked, but we walked up the street, and I asked him to reverse my car out, and as he was reversing my car out, I said, I just looked up to the heavens, as we would perceive where God is, and I just said, thank you, God, for whatever that was. And he said, you're welcome, my child. And I heard it as clear as day, and I got into the car and I had to drive for about 40 minutes to get home. And how I got there, I'll never know, because the excitement and the confusion and the sheer adrenaline and running through me, I was just like gone. And
so tell me, what were you doing anything prior to that? Were you doing treatments, or were you doing meditations, or what were you doing prior to this?
Nothing.
You were doing nothing, okay.
Nothing, no. I would have had maybe readings over the years, like that. But and I always felt that there was something. And I do recall when I went to America in 1994, my cousin passed. She was only 19 shortly after I went over there. And I was home that Christmas, and my other sister was wearing a bracelet on her arm, and I was looking at it, I was going, that's lovely. And she says, will you close it for me? Keeps open. So I said, where'd you get that? And it was my cousin's bracelet. And I said, oh my God, she's here. And we ended up, I don't know what happened at the end of the night, but we ended up where we were talking to her. But it was all done through me. But I passed no really remarks of that. I still didn't think of it as anything like that I had a gift or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's about maybe the only thing that I could kind of say that I had that's an awareness.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's something that I just want to say on the show. There are a lot of spiritual institutes and unions that people join, and part of the training when you go in here, you have to do a certain amount, and you have to do a certain amount of public appearances and all that, right?
Yeah.
And that's great if people want to do that, right? But there's no such thing as certificates in the spirit world, all right?
No.
And I think, Siobhan, you will agree with me on that, is that there's people out there who are natural mediums, or who have been given this talent and this ability, and it was nothing got to do with certificates. And to be honest with you, even if you join a spiritual union and you want to go down that road, there's no guarantee that when you do your 40 appearances or whatever, that a little light will go on and all of a sudden you'll be able to talk to everybody. It doesn't work that way. When you are ready, they will make their appearance known. Yeah. They'll make themselves known when you are ready. And it won't be just because you went into a spiritual union to do training and you have a certificate saying that you can do it. I've come across a lot of people in the IT industry with loads of certificates, but when you ask them to do certain work, they're useless. But they'll tell you they have a certificate which says they can do it, and you ask them to do it and you can't do it. So mediumship is the same thing. It's like I suppose in football as well. There are mediums out there who will be able to do readings, right? And you'll get your first division players. And then you get your people who are like the Wayne Rooneys and the top football players who are just plainly gifted, and they have the ability. And they're just natural players. And although these other players are quite good, they'll never be as good as these people. And it's like you get some plumbers who are brilliant plumbers and other plumbers who are average plumbers. And mediumship is the same thing. You get some mediums who are average and they're okay, and other mediums who are very good. Now, I will talk about the reading that you did for me, Siobhan. Now, what happened was, I've known Siobhan for a while because a lady who used to be in my circle once upon a time, a few years ago, actually set up the Old Castle Spiritual Centre, which is a lady called Julie, very nice lady, and she's a very natural medium as well. And I got to know Siobhan through the Old Castle Spiritual Centre. And basically, Siobhan put an SOS call out there regarding tech support. There was a couple of things that Siobhan wanted doing, and you had one or two problems with them, which is understandable because it's, you know, the way things work these days. And so I contacted Siobhan. I said, look, I'll help you with that. And then myself and Siobhan said, well, look, we'll do a bit of bartering, you know. I'll help her with the tech support, and she'll do a reading for me, which is brilliant. So that's exactly what we did, which is great. Now, I'd never had a reading from Siobhan before, and I suppose because I've had readings before from other mediums, and I've been involved in circle and all that kind of stuff, I suppose I'm not too bad of a judge when it comes to readings from mediums, because I tend to know what way it should go. And I have to say, I was very impressed with Siobhan's reading, the information that she came across with, stuff that she wouldn't have known, that she told me about, and the stuff that she told me that I can't verify, because there's one or two things that I just can't verify, but which were very interesting. But the first thing that you picked up on, which we can talk about, Siobhan, the first thing you said when you tuned in, do you remember what you did, what you said?
No, God, no.
You said, your mind.
Your mind?
Yeah, like my mind is 100 miles an hour. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, I vaguely now, because, you know, it comes and it just comes in and it's gone kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that's okay. And that kind of confirmed something to me, because I had another reading before that, and the medium said the exact same thing. The first thing they said was, your mind runs at 100 miles an hour, you need to slow down. Which is, you know, and when you get mediums who do give you a reading and they're coming out with the same information, that's kind of great confirmation as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's brilliant stuff. Now, what we'll do is, before we get into other bits and pieces, let's talk about the right thing and the wrong thing to do for people who are interested in getting a reading. I'll tell people from my point of view, and then as the medium and your experiences, you can tell them as well. Because the reason why I say this, because there are people out there who, they're okay as mediums, but they'll be fishing for information. Now, the thing is that you should never be given the medium information, number one, and the medium shouldn't really be asking you for information. They should be telling you, they shouldn't be asking you. Now, they might ask you something just to clarify one little thing, which is fine. But generally, a medium should be able to tell you what's going on. And I think for most of the 2-hour reading you did for me, Siobhan, I actually just, you know, it was over Skype, and I just kind of sat back and I didn't really say much, and you were telling me everything, which is great. I enjoyed it. That was brilliant. You know, and that's the way it should be. But is there anything that you want to say regarding advising people about getting readings from your point of view, being a medium?
Yeah, I have noticed with people, they seem to, and it's the same with anything, if you come for healing or anything like that, you're coming to somebody for information and guidance. We're not going to tell you how to live your life. You still need to make the decisions yourself. That's why we have to be so careful as mediums with the information that we pass. And if I don't know something and somebody asks me, I'd say, sorry, no, I don't know that. I'm not getting that. I'm not going to bullshit someone, because it's so important not to tell somebody something that they feel they want to hear. And, you know, I do say that to people sometimes when they come, you know, you might not hear what you want to hear, but you will need what you need to, but you know, you will get what you need to hear, which can often be hard. And people also need to realise as well that, you know, when you're given the information that you're given, you need to actually then become active for yourself. afterwards. This would have been something even on my own journey that I failed to see for a while. And just to use an example, I had a lady who came to me, and the first time she came, I gave her all the lovely information that I was being given for her, and she went away about her business, and she came back again maybe within a year anyway. And I sat there looking at her, going, I think I said this to you before, because this is the way I would be. I mightn't necessarily remember what I've said, but when things start to come through me again, maybe for the second time, I go, did I say this to you before? And it was like nearly, and then by the time we got to the end of the reading, I just said to her, you haven't listened to what you were told to do by your angels, or by God, or by spirit, or whatever way it was coming through, you know. So this lady, then the next time she came to me, I said, you have to do, I said, what makes you happy. And she turned around and she said to me, will you tell me, she says, what can make me happy? And I nearly fell off the chair, because I said, no, I said, I can't tell you what will make you happy. Only you know the answer to that one. So some people are just looking for, like I was at the very start as well, thinking that my life was going to change magically, which it has done, but I've made that happen with the help of my angels, but I thought they were going to do all the work for me. So I think sometimes people come to mediums, or they go to places just looking for a quick fix, or looking for the answers they're hoping to hear. And they need to be so careful of that, because as you said there, Alan, some people are actually, as mediums, and you know, not all obviously, but some people are actually just sitting there to give that information that they think these people need to hear, and they will feed them little bits, and they will keep them coming back for more. Yeah. And that's not the way I operate. Yeah.
No, definitely. And what you've described there, Siobhan, is what we called medium worship, where there's one guy, John Alexander, who's a medium in the UK, and I went down and had to talk with John when I was over in the UK, and John actually had to take his phone off the hook because there was women, and it's not just, there's men and women, but it's mainly a female thing, funny enough, and the women were ringing him up and saying, what car should I buy? What wallpaper should I get? And John said, just look, it's free will. You decide what you want to do. And that's medium worship, and you have to be very careful of that for people. And, you know, spirit might show you the path, but you're the person that has to walk it.
Exactly.
You know, they might point you in the right direction. I'll give you a few tips, but, you know, we are the people that have to do the journey. We have to do it, and we have to experience it. And you have to be very careful. So it's always good getting a recommendation. So if you are going to be looking to get a reading done, always try and get a recommendation. Now, there's something that is important to say as well, that Siobhan is a spiritual medium, okay? Now, people get confused with this. And, you know, some people say, oh, they're a psychic medium and stuff like that. Well, the difference is that there's a lot of people who are psychic, but there's very few people who are spiritual mediums. And the difference is, if you are psychic, you're working clairvoyantly, it's a feeling and a knowing, and you're picking up the energy. But if you're working spiritually, you're actually connecting to spirit and communicating with spirit. Now, a spiritual medium can work spiritually and psychically, but a psychic can only work psychically. Now, for me, when people say, oh, I'm a psychic medium, that to me, that's wrong, because it's not a psychic medium, because you're not a medium of anything. You're not communicating. What you're doing is you're picking up energy clairvoyantly. You're picking up a feeling and knowing, which is clairvoyance. But the spiritual mediums can actually work psychically, and then they obviously connect spiritually. Now, sometimes what spiritual mediums do, I don't know what you do, Siobhan, they'll start off psychically, and to build up the energy, and then the spirits come in, and then the communication starts. But everybody does their own thing.
Yeah, I kind of find that's the way that they work with me. When the person comes and they sit, it kind of starts informally, and I'm chatting, and I'll be picking up on their energy, and spirit will then come in before we get to the cards, you know. So that's normally the way it goes. And sometimes spirit don't show up, and I can't do anything about that. That's, you know, it may just be an angelic guidance reading that the person needs, or, you know, so I just have to give what comes.
And this is the thing, people always say, look, I'm going to see a medium, and I want my Aunt Mary to turn up, and I want to have a talk with her. And it's like, they expect you, the spiritual medium, to get the yellow pages out, and to contact Aunt Mary on the spiritual phone, so you can have a chat with her. No, it doesn't work that way. But what I would recommend people doing is, if there is a spirit or a family member in the spirit world that you want to communicate with, then put it out there before you go to the reading.
Exactly.
Ask them and say, look, I want to be able to speak to you. If you can come through, come through. But there's never a guarantee. And it's worthwhile people knowing that, because, you know, spiritual mediums, you can't manifest spirit there and then, and you can't guarantee who's going to come through.
Yeah, that's it.
You know? Now, before we go on, do you want to jump in on, add anything, say anything, or...
I'm enjoying the show.
He's going to sit back now.
No, I'm enjoying the show. I'm gathering a lot of questions. There's a lot of interest on this, I have to say, Siobhan. A lot of questions coming in on the chat room, and I'm getting them all into a little document here, a little Word document, so we can ask them at the right time. But all I will say is, if anyone comes through looking for me while we're doing the show, tell them to call back later.
Give them the spiritual answer machine.
Put them on hold.
Put them on hold. Now, tell us something. There's a lot going on at the moment, Siobhan. There's loads and loads of talk about energies. And one of the things that I will say, sorry, I'll have to say this as a caveat as well, that you are linking with spirit, you are not channeling, because there's a bit of a no-no on the internet regarding channeling, and there's reasons why. But what you're doing is, you're not channeling, you're linking, okay?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's just to let people know that you're not channeling, you're linking to spirit. But okay, the energies that are going on at the moment, we've myself and Steve mentioned them at the start of the show, and saying that we're feeling a bit off and a bit, you know, aches and pains and stuff like that. And the human frequency is off the scale at the moment, and a lot of people are talking about the Lions Gate and 8-8 and all this stuff. What are you picking up from your side? Well, mind you, we did say this to each other, didn't we? When we first linked up, the first thing we said is, how are you getting on with the energies? And you went, oh my God, don't even talk about the energies.
Yeah, exactly, because I couldn't wait for last year to finish, because I thought it was one of the worst years that I'd put in a while. But then when this year started, and it feels like it's only been the blink of an eye and we're already in August, and it's just the pace that we're going at, and the acceleration, and the ascension and the consciousness. And this is what I'm finding on a personal note for me. And there in July, I was away in Spain, and I had a big connection there starting to happen before we came into the lunar eclipse, which would have been the start of this whole Lions Gate thing, as we call it. So we had the lunar eclipse around the 26th, I think it was, of July. And like for the whole month of July, I've been doing a lot of my own personal work as well. So the energy has been very intense with me. But I'm just wiped. That's the only way I can put it. I'm wiped. I have a lot of pain in my neck area, which is what's been spoken about now as well with the 888 and the Lions Gate there, the vortex or whatever that is that's opened there. And this is all about Christ consciousness. So there's this new chakra, or this chakra that they're talking about now, that's at the back of your head there, or there in the cerebellum, is it, or that area, and that's all where they're saying this is your Christ consciousness. So this is where people are maybe feeling pain or discomfort in the back of their neck or into the back of their head, and this is actually what's going on with this Lions Gate portal.
And obviously people have said that they're suffering back problems down the lower back, which a lot of people are saying it's the Kundalini energy. That's
what I was going to say to Steve there at the start, because I heard him mention it to you before we started. And that's what that is. And that's where your Kundalini sits there dormant in the base of your spine, in your base chakra. Yeah. And it's like the serpent rising up around the sword. So anybody that's feeling anything kind of there, actually moving down nearly into the coccyx, down at that bone, it is uncomfortable. But you might even feel it starting to vibrate. So if you just say that you're ready to release it, that you're ready to allow it to rise, which is, wow, that in itself is an amazing experience.
So what do you think is going on, Siobhan, with all this energy?
This is the way I'm looking at it, right? And it's personally for me, I feel like, because 2011 this started for me, so I feel I'm into my second cycle of 7 years, if you get me.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
That's kind of how I look at stuff. And I'm just saying now, in the space of time since this year began, there's a whole new wave of awareness coming in. So we're not just talking about self-awareness. We're talking about collective awareness. We're talking about, because I'm studying shamanics as well. So we're talking about the awareness of the land. We're talking about the awareness of even children are so much more aware. Everything is just taken on a more heightened energy, if you wish. And I just feel, even with myself, and I'm looking at people now, and I'm seeing actually even different like galactic beings or different star seed families or that. I'm seeing that, and actually people walking the streets.
That's
so
yeah.
Yeah, we're all seeing it. Do you know what I mean? We're just becoming more aware, and even people, as you said there at the start, Alan, you know, even some people are not even aware maybe of what's actually going on within them.
Yeah.
But they know there's something bloody changing. So it's just, we're all wakening up. Thank God.
And do you think there's a veil dropping? The veil is coming. It's getting thinner, and we're seeing more and more things.
Yeah, I would say the veil is lifting. You see, I would say it in that way. So yeah, and it's amazing, because I was in Ishnok last night, taking part in a beautiful tobacco ceremony out there, and there must have been about 30, 40 people there. Like, I mean, in Westmeath, Central Ireland, and one of the ladies I spoke with, she was like, "This isn't it just amazing?" Because she said years ago the only place you would have got something like this would have been Dublin. You know, so we are collectively as a nation, we are wakening up, and we have to save the bloody world. I think that's the way I look at it.
Definitely. Well, that's what we're saying. I mean, we've been doing the radio show now for 8 years, and we've seen a big difference in when we started the radio show to now, to the amount of people waking up. Now, one of the things we talked about before we went live, and we mentioned it on the talk that we do. I think I said to you, we did a talk last year in the Basis Conference, and we're doing a talk this year in Waterford at the Open Minds Conference. And one of the things we talk about is the stages that people go through. So you're in the matrix, and then you become aware of what's going on with the world, and then you become self-aware of who you are as an energy and as a spiritual being. Now, sometimes the people step outside the matrix and jump being self-aware, and they don't become aware, because their job is, by becoming self-aware, is to help the planet and help wake people up. But they don't realise that they have to know why they're doing the job and why they've been selected to do the job. And this is part of the awareness. Now, when the people that you work with and you're dealing with, are these people aware of, you know, when they step outside the matrix, or do they know what's going on with that there's negative energies and there are certain people trying to control the planet and stop us from actually growing and waking up?
Well, you see, if I could just refer to myself there, because when I was opened up back in 2011, I started becoming quite aware, obviously, of myself first. And as that grew, then I started to become aware of the outside and the world. But honestly, Alan, I was one of these people that I wasn't totally aware of what was going on, because I was so just surrounded by my angels and, as we'd say, the light and all of that I didn't even contemplate that there might be a darkness there. I just didn't even enter into my psyche, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. But slowly, I started to learn. And yes, we have to be so flippin' careful. And it's like, you know, not everybody that's wearing the spiritual hat is a spiritual being. They're not coming from a place of their heart. A lot of people are still coming from a place of ego. And yes, I've had to battle that myself. And I've had some of the most valuable lessons by people who are not coming from a place of purity. So we do need to be so careful, because yes, obviously there is dark energy out there, and people need to be aware. We just can't pretend that it isn't there, because we have it inside of ourselves, number one. And when we look at ourselves more closely, we will actually learn to allow our own shadow side to teach us about the shadow side that's all around us, as well as the light.
And of course, what we have said in the show on numerous occasions is, and Thomas says it on his show as well, is that we all have to deal with the shadow side now, because what's happening is all this is coming up to the surface. The energies that are there are bringing all this up to the surface, and we have to deal with it. We can't just ignore it. We have to deal with it. Now, the negative energies is important. Again, we had a quick chat before we went live, and we have to understand the negative, because if you are psychically attacked, you have to know how to deal with it. Now, is there anything that you've come across in your time where you've come across energy vampires or psychic attacks and you've had to deal with it?
Yeah, I personally, on a personal level, I have had bad energy sent my way. Yeah, and it's been sent with intent. Sometimes people can send it to you without always realizing that it's been sent. But I would say 9 times out of 10, it is sent with intent. So yeah, so it's really, really important that we protect ourselves, protect our energy, protect our homes, protect our space, that we do our own work on ourselves so that we're cleansing and clearing and that we're putting protection and barriers in place. It really, really is. I can't stress that enough. Because I used to walk around thinking, sure, look, I have my angels and all of that. Yes, you do have your angels, but you still need to be aware. You still need to be aware that not everybody is your goddamn friend, and not everybody that's even standing right by your side wants your best interests.
Yeah.
Because there's so much jealousy there, and I'm dealing with it all the time.
Yeah, and that's something that I've come across in Circle, spiritual jealousy. And
yes.
Spiritual jealousy is when people are jealous of another member in Circle because they're developing quicker. And that shouldn't be the case, because everybody develops at their own pace and what they're able to cope with and what they're able to deal with. And if anything, people should look at that person and go, well done, congratulations, it's great that you're developing. But spiritual jealousy is when mediums are slagging off other mediums and other people are developing quicker. Now, the one thing I came across, which I didn't come across in the UK over here, was spiritual snobbery. And it's like, my angel shop is in, Dublin 4, and your angel shop is in the rundown part of Dublin, so I'm better than you are. And that's spiritual snobbery. And again, it all kind of goes back to ego, and this is why it's so important that we have to deal with our shadow side, and we have to deal with ego and put it in its place. Now, ego was part of us, we can't get rid of it, but we can control it. We don't let it control us, and that's the important bit. Now, it's funny we talk about protection, because I went to a training course by a medium. She did the training course and she invited me to the training course. This is going back like about 2008.
Yes.
And one of the things she said, and you like this, Siobhan, she said to me that, said to all of us, she said, you don't need protection if you don't think negatively.
Ooh.
Now, imagine telling that to your students, that you don't need protection if you don't think negatively. I mean,
that doesn't. I mean, even from my perspective, that doesn't make sense in so many different areas.
I mean, you're in your car, right, and somebody cuts you up. What are you going to think? You call them the person a name or something, right? That's a negative thought. So how can you never ever think negatively? And I mean, the first thing. The other thing people need to know is, if you do join a spiritual development circle, on your first day there, the person should be teaching you protection. And if they don't do that on the first day, leave the circle.
Yeah, protection and grounding and shielding, all of that, yeah.
That's the first thing you have to learn. And any good medium that brings you in to teach you, that's the first thing you're going to learn, because there's a few nasties out there. Now, we've had Catherine Kavungu on the show, and she's a regression hypnotherapist, and she told you about the demonic beings that she's had to try and get rid of from people. And you're not talking about a negative spirit that you get your sage out and go, chiggy, 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 and then out they go. You're talking about demonic beings who know how to play the game.
Yes.
So it's important that everybody knows their protection and knows what's out there. Now, you don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but at least get familiar with what you're dealing with, because, as Siobhan said, you've energy vampires. Sometimes they know they're doing it, and sometimes they don't know. Yeah. And we've all had it where we go and sit down and we talk to somebody, and you're there with them for 20 minutes and you feel drained and you just want to get away from them,
Yeah.
And that's part of somebody being an energy vampire. And you mightn't even realise that they're doing it, but that's what happens.
Yeah, because they feel good in your presence because your energy is so high, and people like us, then we get pulled into that because we want to help others. So we're there, and they're asking the questions and we're answering them, and then we walk away and we're like a wet lettuce, a limp lettuce, and they're flying because they've taken all our energy. But if you're protecting yourself in the first place and shielding that energy, well, then they can't. You're not giving away as much as of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You have to protect yourself, even going into houses and stuff like that. Because
first thing in the morning, as soon as you get out of the bed.
Yeah, you just don't know, especially with what's going on at the moment, because the whole idea, you know, I've kind of said this before, given, and I've read about this, given the choice of positive and negative, people will go for the negative because it takes less energy, right? And that's why being a giver and trying to do the positive thing is harder, because it takes more energy. Yeah. And that's why, you know, maybe just only a few of us doing what we're doing because of that. But listen, I know we're going to have a lot of questions, so I'm going to shoot over to Steve now there you go, that quick, jump over. And Steve's going to go through the questions. Steve.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. I'm going to just go through them in the order that they came in, so. Okay, the first question was from Chris. Chris is wondering, how long does it take to get a master's in Reiki? He said a year seems very fast, as in most martial arts it takes about 30 years practicing, an average of 12 hours per week. And further to that, he said, is there an exam at the end of it to be a master?
What we do is you go level 1. There's 3 levels, and they have a 4th level added now, which is kind of a teacher one. It's just so they can make more money. But level 1 is normally a 1-day workshop, and then you have practice sessions with your master. And then when you have done, I think it's 14 to 16 hours of that practice, then you have your level 1 certificate. Then you can do nothing then after that, if you so wish. But normally then you would be told to wait 3 to 4 months in between taking your next level. And that's what I would have done. And I was guided directly by spirit. Level 2 then would be, sometimes people do it over 2 days. Normally over 1 day. I would teach it over 1 day, to be honest, and then we practice afterwards. So it's the same thing, and you're putting in those hours. And then the master level is your master teacher level, and that's the same thing. And you just practice it, because level 1, to answer Chris's question there, level 1 is all about self-transformation. So you're doing your own healing first. So you're working through your own stuff, and obviously you'd be doing that till the day you go to meet your maker. But it comes up straight away for you to look at yourself, because before you can move on to level 2, which is practitioner level, you have to do your own work first, as any of us would do. So this is the way the Reiki system works. And, you know, some masters may say to a student, they may think they're ready within a couple of weeks. No, that would never be the case. Some teachers, I have heard that they have actually taught the whole thing in 1 weekend. I would never ever do that. I would not like to be the student. So yeah, basically it's a 1 or 2 day workshop for each level, depending on the teacher, and practice then sessions. And I hold a healing circle here once a week. So my students come here and they practice and they learn and they develop under that as well.
Can I just agree with Siobhan on that? If you're being offered Reiki to do it over the weekend,
Jesus.
No, that's just making money for the person who's doing the Reiki. This is not, I said at the start of the show, you know, just because you do 40 presentations in front of an audience and you get your certificate does not mean you have the ability.
Yeah.
You know, I would say to people that, please, if you get offered Reiki over a weekend, look for somebody else to do the teaching. It takes time to develop and practice.
Exactly.
You know, and as Siobhan said, I agree with her. It shouldn't really be done over a weekend. To me, that's just a way for that person to cram people in, make the money, and then go. And they don't have your best interest at heart if they do that. Steve.
And I stay in touch with all my students. I help them develop. I'm always here for them. I get them to come to the healing night, and I'm helping them develop in that way as well. So yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't push anyone.
I think we can just say, I mean, I know Chris kind of said in relation to a martial art it can take years, but I suppose Reiki it's not really a martial art as such.
It's a hands-on healing or hands-off healing process. Yeah. So there's just, you work from the head to the feet and you work with the energy. So it's not so much it is a discipline, but it's not so much about having to learn how to stand correctly or how to use your body in a certain way, because you are the channel. You are definitely the channel for spirit to work through you for the person's highest, greatest good and healing.
Can I just add to that, Steve, that's a great analogy, and well done, Chris, for saying that, because Chris will know and Steve will know that there are some taekwondo or karate or kung fu schools that love giving out belts. Every 5 minutes they're giving out a belt because they want to reward the student. And just because somebody has a black belt doesn't mean that at the level of a black belt. They haven't worked for it, because, as I say, some schools give out belts because they just give out belts to make it look good. And that doesn't mean, and in Reiki it's the same thing. Just because you get your certificate doesn't mean you're ready. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Well, just before we get lambasted on the chat room, I think colour belts up to black belt, maybe some schools may give them out, but the black belt is a different kettle of fish altogether, so I don't believe black belts are given out willy-nilly, because,
well, I hope not. You know,
they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. And I know Chris will attest to that as well.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about Taekwondo, I'm talking about...
I hear you.
All styles. Some, you know.
Okay. Right, let's go. Dougie wants to know, I think you've already answered this one, but we'll ask it anyway. Siobhan, did Siobhan go through any Kundalini symptoms when going through her journey?
Yes, absolutely. And I actually, my story is a very long one, guys, and I actually ended up in a psych unit for 3 days, because people thought obviously that I had lost every last ounce of my sanity. And so then, yes, I went into a very dark place then. And then when I rose out of that, probably in 2012, I started then to really, really sit with myself and sit with the angels and sit with spirit. And yeah, I would have had Kundalini experiences, yeah. And I still have them, because I think every level you transcend to, or that you rise to, you awaken at that level within yourself again, because we can't just awaken to the highest level. We have to do it in stages. So it's developing, and I would experience the Kundalini, yes. And
are you still developing, Siobhan? I mean, or was there a point along the way where you were kind of as awake as you were going to be?
Oh no, I'd be developing till I pass into the next life. I will.
Okay.
We're never finished. We're never finished, Steve. This journey is never ending, because every day I learn something new, whether it's from somebody coming in to sit for me, or whether it's I'm sitting with people and they're in a workshop with me. I'm learning from everyone. Every time I open my front door and I go out, I learn something new. I learn something new every day.
Okay, long may it continue. And
thank you.
Where we go next? Dougie is wondering, does Siobhan write or speak light language?
I do. Yeah.
You
now,
do?
when people ask me about light language, when I write in English. I presume that's what he means. I have been taught. Now, I do chant and I sing, and that would not be in English. And I have been told that it's light language. So I'm not actually fully aware of what light language is. Maybe Dougie could shed some light on that, pardon the pun. But I have been told that it's light language, and I feel it. I feel it very strongly in me as it's happening, and I will get a sense of the energy of it. Like, it can be very gentle, and sometimes it's very powerful, but I can't always tell you what it is that's coming through me. But yes, I write an awful lot. I write songs because I'm a singer. I write songs and I write a lot of poetry, and I will write down an awful lot of messages just given to me by my angels and God. I do all my meditations for my angel workshops. They all come directly from the angels beforehand, and they just come in and I write them down. I suppose that's light language too. I
have to say, I don't know much about the light language. I haven't really looked into it. Maybe we'll have to look into it.
Yeah, well, I know Dougie was kind enough. He did tell us on a previous show in the chat room that he was involved in the light language, and he did send me over an email, or I think it was an email anyway, with some information in relation to light language. And I have to say, it's probably something. Yeah, it looks interesting now.
I'd love to connect with Dougie about that, to be honest. Yeah, because I used to write things down as well that I couldn't understand. But another lady told me it was like the angel. I was singing like angel language or something like that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we shall move on. Another question from Dougie, actually. Do readings depend on timelines, in the sense that if the person getting the reading does something that affects the timeline, then the contents of the reading are invalid?
Ooh, I'm just trying to get my head around that question now, the way it's phrased. Okay, can you just say it to me again, Steve, please?
I can. He said, do the readings depend on the timelines? He says, in the sense that if a person getting the reading, and obviously you give them some information, but then they obviously do something that affects that particular timeline, then that reading may be invalid.
Well, you see, this would be the person's free will kicking in. So say now if I was to say to somebody, I had a lady here a couple of weeks ago, and she says, I've been told, she said, for the last, I don't know how many years, blah, 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 something. And she didn't tell me what it was, but I just want to see if it comes up in the cards here with you today. And sure enough, up it came. And she was like, that's it. So she's been told it for the last 12, 14 years, but she was adamant it wasn't going to happen. So she has actually stopped it from happening until now, because her mind has started to come round to the idea that maybe it would be a nice thing for her to do. So yes, if you're hell bent on saying, no, there's no way that's going to happen, that's not going to happen, that's not going to happen, that's not going to happen, and you do everything in your power so that it won't happen, obviously, yes, that door, this is how I describe it. I describe the doors of opportunity of the natural order. You will actually close one of those doors. But what happens then is the universe, because it's still going to come to you anyway, the universe then has to just go all the way around again and keep coming back round until it gets back to the next door. Or God, I would refer to God in this sense. He has to run around, as we say, the scenic route to come back in to the next door of opportunity that is open. And if you're still sitting in the same mindset, well, that one will close as well. So when things start to change within your mindset and that you're just allowing the natural order to flow, then things will happen as they're meant to happen.
Can I just add to that as well, Siobhan?
Yeah.
I get asked this question as well, and some people will say the same thing about timelines. Well, there's multiple timelines, but our free will dictates which timeline we go on. So if you get a reading, I mean, number one, mediums are not fortune tellers. They might get something that's given to them that's on a particular timeline, but they're not fortune tellers. So when people say I'm a fortune teller, stay away from them, right?
Yeah.
Because there's multiple timelines, and on the timeline now, they will try and read the particular timeline that you're going to be going down. But your free will change something. So if Spirit says next week you're going to buy a blue car, and you all of a sudden on your free will you change it and you buy a yellow car, well, that's a different timeline, because your free will, you've made a different choice. You still bought a car, but it's a yellow car. Okay, so that's the way I kind of explain the whole free will thing. So you so there's never a guarantee, and that's why mediums will never say that they're fortune tellers, because they can't, because you're dealing with multiple timelines.
Yeah.
Steve,
you just answered the next question from Moon Girl on People's Internet Radio. She wants to know, is a medium the same as a fortune teller? So I think you've put that one to bed.
Yeah.
Unless Siobhan wants to add anything.
Do you want to add? Yeah?
No, because like sometimes people will say to me, like, are you a fortune teller? And I'm not a fortune teller, but that's just people perceiving. You see, the way sometimes people perceive, like, say for example, I had a person come to me here last week, and straight away with the person, I was being brought into their energy about healing and what they needed, and they were just looking at me going, but I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. And I was losing them because they didn't want to hear. They were coming, I want to hear from this person, and I want to hear from that person, and I want to hear from the other person. And I'm sorry, but my guidance was to give them this information, and that's what I was getting for them. But they just totally came with an impression and a preconceived notion of what they would have been receiving from me as a medium. But it doesn't always work that way. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not a fortune teller. I am a medium. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dougie again wants to know, how do you know that the readings are from galactic guides and not human guides?
That's a good question, actually, Dougie, because I would say my main guide is an angel. And she's been with me from day one, and I would focus very much, obviously, with the angels, because I do angel card readings, so I would focus very much with that. Obviously, then when some people come in, if they have more shamanic, other beings step in, but the information that I get is nearly always coming from my angel as my guide, if you get me. And then when spirit come for the person who's sitting, it comes directly through them. So I don't always say, who's that now, who's talking to me there now, because I just trust that the information is coming from what I know is my angel, Serena. And then when spirit stepped forward, as I said, for the person sitting, well, that's who gives me the information then.
Okay, thanks for that. Chris is wondering, at most readings, a deceased family member passes on a message through a medium. Would those deceased members not have moved on to somewhere else or be reincarnated?
I always feel that the person has moved on, because just because they step into a reading with a message, it doesn't mean that they're still on this earthly plane. Now, that can happen, but most of the time, 99% of the time, the spirit has they've left. They're gone to the higher realm, or whatever way you want to put it. But they can still converse here with us, because it's like physically their body has left, but their soul is still, it can be everywhere. That's the way I look at it. Now, this is my experience. So if you have a different truth of this yourself, or a different experience of this yourself, that's totally fine. But in my experience, and the way I feel that spirit work with me, is that they can be everywhere, because it's oftentimes when I have a person sitting with me, I'll know that they have some other family member that this person can be with at the same time. So they're past loved ones, so they can be everywhere. That's the way I look at it. It's ultimate.
And a lot of the time, Siobhan, you probably come across this. The spirit that comes through only tend to go back as far as a grandparent. Very rarely have I heard, I don't think I've ever heard actually, but I don't think I've ever heard of a great grandparent coming through, because a lot of the time we never knew them. When we don't know them, they don't know they'd probably know our lives from their side, but we wouldn't know them, or we wouldn't have any association with them, because we weren't alive when they were around. So it tends to just go back as far as a grandparent in most readings.
So our souls, like when someone dies, some people think that the spirit is reincarnated straight away. When you go to the light, that's it. You're reincarnated. Would it be fair to say that maybe the spirits, if we can, grandparents can come back, but say nothing further than grandparents? Would it be fair to say that there's like a holding area? Maybe you're not reincarnated straight away, and maybe there is there's a place they call it. What do the Catholics call it? The Catholics, what do they call it?
Purgatory.
Purgatory, yeah. Purgatory. Is there like
well,
that?
That's purgatory is very kind of.
Well, I'm only using that as like a waiting
like
area.
The green room.
Yeah,
the green room. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but see, I think when people pass over, especially when it's quite quick, there has to be a healing process in spirit. And if you're, and I think, and this is just my own personal opinion. If you're spiritually aware and you know what the score is and you pass over, the recycling side, if you are going to come back, would probably be quicker, because you know what's going on. Where somebody, when I did, when myself, Mark and Colette went down, we did a most haunted thing in a big house on 10 acres down in Kildare, and we were just warming things up before the camera was rolling, and a spirit came through called Andrew, and he said, "Am I dead?" He didn't even know. It was a bit like Ghost, the movie, where the guy ran off after the attacker, and when he came back, he just kind of realised what's going on. So there are spirits who go over so quick that they
traumatic
don't realise.
Circumstances. Yes, they don't actually realise that they're actually dead, and their soul can be trapped here for a time. Yeah,
that's right. So they have to go through a healing process. And then, and so maybe they would take longer to reincarnate if their soul contract is to actually come back and carry on learning.
Siobhan, let's say a loved one passes on, or passes over. How long would it be, how long should a person wait to expect, let's say for argument's sake, I'll just put it in plain simple terms. My father-in-law passed away in May. Now, if I was to go for a reading with you, let's say tomorrow, could I expect him to come through, or is there a kind of a waiting period where he wouldn't come through for, let's say, another 6 months or something?
I feel that's entirely up to spirit, but because I have had it where people have lost a loved one within a matter of days, that person has stepped forward.
All right.
And that could be because maybe they were spiritually aware.
Yeah.
So the healing was quicker.
They're just ready, and it's just, and sometimes as well, what has happened with me too, if I have somebody sitting for me who, say, has somebody around them who has Alzheimer's, I sometimes already pick that person up that they've already left because they're not fully in their mind anymore.
That's right.
They're actually still alive, but it feels like they're their spirit, it's just the physical shell that's still here. That has happened to me quite a few times.
And some people believe that when you go to an old folks home and you see the elderly speaking to themselves and you think, oh, they're speaking, they're actually not speaking to themselves, they're actually speaking to their guides, or they're getting ready to go over, to transition over.
Yeah, that's it.
Steve?
Yes, Peter. Peter says, from what I've heard, if someone is on the other side of the veil, they can locate, meaning that they can chat with more than one channeler / medium at once. Yeah.
I would say so, because it would often happen that when you sit in circle, or even when we're here, which is still circle when we're working here on a healing night, we can all pick up the same spirit coming through for somebody here in the room. So they are communicating with each one of us at the same time.
Okay.
And also, I think, Siobhan, you might have experienced this as well. There are some spirits and energies who are attracted to an individual's energy, and they'll only come through them as well.
Yes, that's very true. I sat in circle one time, and this lady in the circle, the only person that this gentleman would come through for her was me.
Yeah.
And nobody else ever, and she's a medium herself, and nobody else had ever got him for her. He just came through me. Yeah.
And because of your energy, he's attracted to your energy. So that's great. Yeah, and that happens. I've had that happen in circle as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve.
Yes, Moon Girl on People's Internet Radio says the Perseids peak tonight, and she wants to know, do meteor showers affect human energies?
The what peak tonight? I'm not aware of this now at all.
Does Persidious, I think it's Persidious or something like that. I have to get the right one.
I can't pronounce it. Watch out if you got.
Let's see. Does a meteor shower that starts with P?
Okay, I would say everything. But at the moment as well, we have seven different planets in retrograde. I don't know if any of them have actually come out of retrograde. Everything affects us because everything is energy.
Yeah.
And we are energy. So yes, to answer Moon Girl, is it? Yep. I smiled when I heard that name because Moon Girl to me is very, very in tune there. So I would be saying hats off to you and the work that you're doing. That's what I feel I need to say to her. But yeah, I would say everything affects everything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Moon Girl she's wide awake down there in Cork at the moment.
Good woman.
Duncan says over the years he's been to many healers and spiritualist mediums, and not one yet has got it right about his details. What would you? I mean,
wow.
Is that possible? Does that happen?
Yeah, that can happen. It can happen because sometimes people have a guard up without actually realising it, and they come in with a preconceived, as I said, idea. I'm not saying that this gentleman would be like that, but some people are actually harder to read than others, and that's just the way of it, and we're not going to be 100% correct on everything because we're not bloody God. Like, we're still a human. We're still human here, trying to actually communicate with what's coming through us, and we're developing and learning all the time. Spirit are showing me new ways of things all the time as I work. So I'm picking up, and I'm sometimes it's quite cryptic, and I have to get to the bottom of it for the person. But that's learning for me as the medium, and unfortunately that's the way they work with me. Yeah. So it's all brilliant, but for the person sitting that's expecting to be told maybe every single little thing in great detail and great accuracy, it doesn't always work that way, no.
And you're right, and I've come across mediums who, a medium would say, you give me a reading, I'll give you a reading. Yeah. And the medium was hard to read as a medium.
Mm-hmm. So true, yeah.
So I've come across that, and that's the way. And normally, the people who are hard to read, I think, sometimes, as you say, they have a preconceived idea when they come in, and they fold the arms and look at you, go on, prove it to me. That kind of attitude,
You have to come in wide open. Yeah. And the more open you are, even in your body language and even in yourself, then that's the energy the energy will respond and it will flow, and that's the way it goes.
And just for people to be open-minded, they can be skeptical by all means, and obviously the whole idea, it's if you go to see a medium and a medium gives you information that they wouldn't possibly have known about it, right? Then they've done their job. Everything after that is a bonus.
Yeah.
And if they give you something that they wouldn't possibly have known, then you have to ask yourself, where did that information come from?
Yeah.
Especially if you go in, sit down, and don't give them any information, and they tell you something intimate about your life that they wouldn't possibly know, then you have to question that and go, wow, well, there is something to this. How would they know about that?
Exactly.
And everything after that is a bonus. So just some information for people. Steve?
Yeah, sure. If you remember, I mean, I've said it many times on this show, when I used to work in a hospital, Siobhan, I used to do night work, and there was a night security man there, and I'd heard from someone on the day shift that he read tarot cards, and I just got chatting with him that night, and I said, I believe you read cards, do you? And he says, I do, yeah. And I said to him, would you read mine? And it was a case of, okay, there was a little bit more than that, but it was a case of, you know, well, I'm not a kind of a sideshow freak, and I don't do it for a laugh. He said, you know, I can do it for you. And I said, okay, yeah, you know, I'll be honest and I'll be open here. And he did do a reading for me, and I'd never met the chap at all. And he there's no way he could have known anything about me. But I have to say, he gave me a reading, and I'd say about 75% of the information that he gave me, or close to 75%, was accurate and on the money. Yeah. And, you know, it was stuff that he couldn't have known. He was able to tell me things about my past that I hadn't told anyone in the job, you know. So, I mean, I do have, I think there is a lot to it, and, you know, I wouldn't be dismissive of it. But, you know, I mean, if someone does go for a reading and they don't get the information, as you say, maybe they are putting up a wall. I suppose it is possible.
And, you know, and I have actually said that to people here, because, and like, if I'm finding it hard to read somebody, I'll say to them, I'm not going to sit there and bullshit them, as I said earlier. I'll say, listen, I'm actually finding it quite hard to read you. And I actually, one time, there was a lady here, and because the information I was giving her wasn't what she thought I should be giving her, she just wouldn't take any of it. So that happens too, you know, and you have to let these people go, because, as I said, they have a preconceived idea of what they think they're going to get, and if that's not what's coming, well, then it doesn't, the energy just drops.
And sometimes when mediums do platform work is when they're standing in front of an audience and they're picking people out of the audience. And this has happened, Mark, on numerous occasions, where he'd go to a lady or a person in the audience, and he'd say, well, you have a relative here, and they have, you know, black hair, and they're smoking, and that, and he'd give all the information, and the person would go, no. Yeah. And then Mark would kind of go, well, I don't know what's going on here. So he'd go to somebody else, and then at the end of the night, the lady would come up to him and go, yeah, actually, you are bang on, but I didn't want to say it. Yeah. And of course, it makes Mark and the mediums look like a fool, because they
look awful.
Yeah. And that happens. And then some people don't come up at the end of the night, and they just go off, even though they were right. Or else, what happens sometimes is that, and you'll agree with this, Siobhan, hopefully, is that you'll give them information, and the people go, nah, I can't take that, I don't know what that is. And they'll go away, and then a few hours later, or the next day, they go, I know what that was.
Yes. And I like when people validate, because I don't always know what I'm saying to people, I have to be honest. The information comes through, and I'm going, I have no idea what this is, I don't know why I'm saying this to you, but blah, 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 and out it will come. And it happened to me with a lady, actually, and I kept saying to her about her a piece of jewellery that her mum had given her, and she was going, no, my sister got all the jewellery, and I had little earrings in my ears that day, and I was even at my ears, and there were little butterflies. And anyway, as it happened, the lady was coming back to me a couple of days later for a healing. So she went off about her business, and she came back the 2 days later, and she goes, oh my God, Siobhan, you'll never guess what happened. I said, what? And she said, I was out in Dublin or wherever she was, and she kept finding feathers. So she brought them home, and she went to put them into this little jar that she had, and when she lifted the jar, there was a butterfly brooch underneath the jar that her mother had given her. Ah. And she had no recollection of it. She couldn't remember it. So even I was going at the butterflies in my ears, there were little earrings, and I was like, maybe it's earrings, I'm not sure what she's trying to tell me here. And that was validation then for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had no clue what I was going on about. I was trying to say to her, it's definitely a piece of jewellery. I know it's jewellery. I know she's telling me it's jewellery. And then she found the brooch.
And I'd say that to anybody that goes to a medium and has a reading, that if you can't take the message, just say to the medium, I can't take the message now. Take a note of it. And then if you want to record, I think if you're okay, Siobhan, a lot of mediums will say that you can record the session. Because
people record it here, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes people forget what's said. And then if you do validate the information after a day or two, if the information comes in, please go back and contact the medium and let them know, because that just validates the information that comes through. It's very important. It is important.
And people do it, and it is lovely, because when people say, oh my God, you told me this and I couldn't see it happen and I didn't know how it was going to happen and all of that, and then it does happen, and it's just, it's great for them. Yeah. You know?
Well, Steve thought he'd be winning the lottery on Friday, but that still hasn't happened, has it? Well, you haven't said that to me.
Well, I turned up, didn't I? So trust me,
in the same car, okay.
Yeah, in the same car. And there was no show for driving.
Yeah.
In relation to feathers, I have to say, I've been seeing feathers around for the past 2 weeks. They're all around the house, and I've actually found a few in the house. I've actually gone around looking for a dead bird, but I haven't found them.
Who did you say passed away there recently?
Oh, my
father-in-law.
My father-in-law, yeah.
These are all signs, you know, that you have a loved one around you, or your angels are around you. So if you're asking, and I'd say it's probably more your partner that's asking for signs, maybe, and that's why. But you're seeing them as well.
Yeah.
I had a feather in my hallway, and I didn't know how it got there as a dark feather. Mm-hmm. Don't know. Just, you know, one of these things.
I held an angel workshop yesterday, and it was a beautiful day, and I was in another premises. I wasn't here in my home. And at the end of the day, when we had cleared everything up, I went back into the room just to check that everything was that I'd taken everything out of the room, and there was a little white feather on the floor. That was just them saying thank you.
Brilliant. Well, you have more questions for Siobhan, Steve?
I do. This is from Chris. He says, has Siobhan ever come across any archons, aka greys?
No, I haven't even a notion what they are, Chris, to be honest with you.
Okay, negative energies, basically.
Oh, right. Well, you see, I wouldn't have heard them spoken about in that term, or whatever it's called. Yes, I have, yeah. I would have dealt with, now, not so much on my own, but I would have dealt with it in a group situation, and I would have had somebody had to actually do an extraction on me as well. So I know what it's like to be carrying, and I know what it's like to see what other people go through when they're carrying, and how we would have worked on that person. And
tell me something, Siobhan.
Thriving now.
Can you tell if somebody has a walk-in?
Not always, no. I would, you see, the way it is with me, I would, you see, because I look for the light in everyone first, but I would feel that this person, their energy, my energy reacts badly to their energy, if you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because we have talked about that on the show before, walk-ins, demonic beings taking over, and people who are, alcohol, drugs and stuff like that. Even the paedophile side of things. And Katrina Kavungu, again, was saying that a lot of this is down to the fact that they've had a walk-in.
Yeah. And they're carrying, as I would say. They're carrying,
And they have to be removed. Is that something that you do, or do you pass that over to somebody who's shamanic? Or what way does that work?
Yeah, I would normally, like, well, we would work here, because I'm on my shamanic path now as well, and I'm training, and I would have had, as I said, in a group situation where we would have removed a lot of heavy energy. And it does happen here on healing nights that the heavy energy is with people and the darker side of things. And I know I have done extractions here, but because there's so many people here on the nights, normally it just doesn't come across like I'm actually doing an extraction. I would be rattling, and I would be using my drum and stuff like that. And then I just go with spirit and how they're leading me to do it, and cleansing and clearing and opening windows and just releasing it to the light and all of that. But I can't always explain that that's what I'm doing, because some people would be afraid of it.
Okay, we have more questions for you, Steve.
Yeah, and I'm going to use your phrase. We're watching the time. We've got 4 more questions, and it is coming on 8:30, so we'll cover what we can. Moon Girl wants to know, Siobhan, what is the highest ascension?
Well, the Christ consciousness is what I would feel, for personally speaking, and from where I'm coming from, the Christ consciousness for me. So I'm sure everybody maybe has a different level or something that they feel they want to get to, but like Christ and God, and that's all the same for me, if you get me.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening at the moment with me, as I said there in the middle of July, a huge integration with me and God. Well, he started speaking to me nearly 8 years ago, and when I told people I was poo-pooed and I was told I was crazy and this, that and the other, and so then it was more acceptable for people to hear about angels and past loved ones, so I focused more on that. But this year now, God has come back. Well, not that he ever left, but he's making himself known to me again now that I have to start speaking my truth. I have to start speaking about him, and I guess that's the highest ascension you could ever get to, and that's the Christ consciousness that we're all talking about. That's my personal view on it.
And let's just clarify that this is nothing got to do with religion at all.
No. Oh God, no. This is the pure light. This is source. This is divinity. This is just the pure being. And it was like I was putting God outside of me when actually he's inside of me all along, and I was separating myself from him. It wasn't the other way around. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. We could clarify that. Right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yes, when you start having this, your awakening, Siobhan, and you heard all the voices and all, I'm guessing this is something that you now have control over, is it? And you can turn it off if need be, because we've heard of people before that they're just hearing voices, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can't even sleep. I'm guessing you obviously have a handle on it, do you?
Yes, it's called grounding.
Yeah, big time. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to switch it off, because you have to go off and do your ironing and do your washing.
Exactly. When I'm working, I'm working, and when I'm not, I'm not. That's the way I am now. So, and people will be, even if I'm in company, they'll be like, oh, what, will you do will you just, sometimes you're out having a drink, and people be like, what are you picking up there? And I'd be like, I don't mix spirit with spirit.
Yeah.
I just don't go there.
And obviously you tell the spirits as well, I'm off, yes. I'm not working tonight. Yeah.
Yes, because we are actually in charge, not the other way around. And we just that's stepping into your power as well. That's taking control over your own self, being responsible for you, your energy, your well-being, all of that, your equilibrium, homeostasis. So you are in charge. So you have to tell them, step back here a little bit. Time, we know time down here. They don't. So we have to move in time. They don't. So you have to tell them I'm not working now.
Yeah, that's bang on. Steve.
Peter's wondering a question for Siobhan. Do you have any tips on opening the pineal gland, and what would you suggest? Crystals, quartz, shungite, etc.?
Yeah, the clear quartz is very good for opening up the pineal gland there, and it's just, but even just to say it, even just to affirm and welcome the opening. You see, we have a tendency to think we have to do a load of work. And we're brilliant at thinking we have to do so much more than we need to do. When all we really need to do is say, I'm ready for it to open. And even as I'm saying that, I can feel my crown chakra there responding. So even just put your hand on your crown chakra and on your third eye as well, because that there in the center there where you have the center point of the crown and then the center point of the third eye meeting in the brain, that's your pineal gland. And just say, I'm ready for it to open. So clear quartz and also amethyst as well would be good. But I don't know why, what's that man's name? Peter, is it?
Yeah.
I feel he needs to work with, I don't know what they're showing me something here in my room. He needs to work with the oh God, I can never say this word. Abigalone shell? Is it I'm so bad. It's a crystal, but it's a shell, and it's abigalone or something like that. It's called.
Okay, well there you go, Peter. Yeah. There's a tip for you there.
Okay.
That'll help. And I don't know if that's in response to him opening his pineal gland, but he needs to work with it anyway. Yeah.
I just think pineal sounds much better.
You're wrong.
Well, you're saying pineal gland, and it just sounds
pineal.
It sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's move on. Graham is wondering: Have you ever come across 5p or any small coin turning up in strange places, like in a shoe, usually with the date of on the 5p or the whatever coin of the year of the passing of a loved one?
No, I've never heard that. That's beautiful. That's called. Is it an apport?
Yes, someone actually said that. Yeah.
Yeah, when spirit can actually give you a physical gift. So it's like something just appears physically that was not there before. It's called, isn't that correct, Alan? It's called an apport, I think.
A port, yeah. They can move things, and they can...
Yes, and they can give you something physically. So if you're getting a coin like that, Graham, and the year on it is the past, it's somebody that's passed, that's just a huge message from Spirit for you.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm going to check my shoes for a 50 euro note now, see?
There was a 10-cent coin under my feet last night, actually, where I was standing in Ishnock, and I was like, there you go, there's a little message from heaven.
There you go. Yeah, they do that as well, yeah.
Yeah,
right,
they do.
Where are we? Lynn was wondering. Lynn said that she actually read cards. She was going to read tarot cards before, but she had a bad experience, and she just says, "I will be careful when reading them. Can you ask about reading the cards, and have you a dark presence?" She actually, sorry, I know that appears a little bit jumbled, but she did say earlier on she was doing some reading with tarot cards, and she felt a dark presence. And I think in one of the messages there, she said that it actually woke her up, but she felt like something was grabbing her by the neck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see, and some people are afraid of the tarot. And I personally, I'm not drawn to use them at all, to be honest. I use the angel cards, but the cards are a tool. You also need to cleanse your tools and look after your tools. You also need to cleanse yourself and your space all the time. So maybe these cards weren't properly cleansed, but if she was she reading for herself, I wonder, or was she reading for a client?
I'm sure she'll tell us on the chat room, because Lynn is because
it just feels like, see, people, you don't know what people are bringing in the door either. So that's why you need to be. Sometimes when a person comes into my room, I am moved to sage them. And they're sitting for a reading, and that's because they're carrying something. So I will sage them as I'm just chit chatting to them before we sit down. I say, "Is it okay? Do you mind if I do a little bit of clearing?" And that's just to cleanse. But also as well, the dark energy there that you see. It feels like with me as well, with Lynn, that she may have dabbled, maybe going back the years, or somebody around her may have dabbled in something that she shouldn't have dabbled in. And it may just be kind of showing itself to her now or in the recent past. So this is all for her learning though as well. I do feel she realises that. And from what I feel there, has she cleared it? I do feel she has. Has she come back to you there?
No, she hasn't come back on the chat. I'm sure she will.
Okay. Yeah.
And we there's actually a comment in from Chris, and Chris just wants to let you know, if we talk to God, we are good people. If God talks to us, we are called crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens. I will say,
and I'm so happy to be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in this world, the world's a crazy world. I will say to people, and Siobhan, you probably agree with me, that if people are going to be doing anything on a spiritual level and opening up, it's all down to attention. I know intention. Dougie said it on the chat room, and I say this again and again to people. No matter what you do, whether it's crystals or tarot cards, angel cards, whatever, it's the intention. If you're doing it with the wrong intention, don't be surprised if you get a negative entity or energy in.
Yeah, I do everything from my heart. From the heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And people don't get this. A lot of people don't understand it. It's all down to intention. Your intention is very important. Are you doing it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons? This, when you're dealing with spirit, and whether it's a spirit board or, there is a difference. Some people say, we'll do the Ouija board. No, people who do the Ouija board are people who have no experience whatsoever, and they might as well be taking a phone book and just calling somebody random. If we call it a spirit board, when you doing it with spiritual people with the right intention, and even then, to me, I mean, I've done the spirit board loads and loads of times. Actually, Steve came down one time to a spiritual circle, and we did it. And I just I'm not really interested in it, because, it's all about, it shouldn't be an external thing. Development should be an internal thing, and you develop yourself. Using tools on the outside. Now, if people want to use cards and stuff like that, that's fine. But I just prefer to be me and develop me from an internal point of view, and have the ability in myself, and not relying on an external tool to do it.
Yeah, and that's the cards you see are, as you say, just tools, and that's why a lot of when I'm working, most of the reading is already done before I even get to the cards, because I'm just picking up on the energy. And then, you turn a card and you say, well, we've already talked about that. You turn another card and it's already done, and then sometimes there will be a card and you go, oh, this is bringing me somewhere else now that I haven't mentioned before. So that's just, a tool.
Well, you're getting the affirmation before you actually turn the card anyway, so it's just confirmation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so just people have to be very careful when you're dealing with, and obviously with the mediums you're going to see as well. Again, a recommendation is very important.
Absolutely.
Rather than going in cold. There are a number of mediums out there who've been caught, doing the readings, doing cold readings with people. Mm-hmm. And it can be done if you're very good. Magicians do it. There are, your man Keith Barry.
Yes,
he'll say, I'm a magician and I can do cold reading and stuff like that. And it can be done. And this is why people, what you have to do is, they shouldn't be asking you questions. They should be giving you the information, and you shouldn't be giving them any information. Because if you give them information, then that's how they'll do the cold reading. But if you go to somebody who's been recommended, then at least you know that you're going to be dealing with somebody who is a spiritual person and not somebody who's just trying to make money from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, do you have more questions there, Steve?
No, I don't have any more questions, but just want to say that Lynn did actually get back, and she said she was doing the reading for someone else, and obviously she felt the presence there, and she said she hasn't done it since she has wrapped the cards up in black and will never read them again, she says. Okay,
but that shadow that came in wasn't about her, it was about the person that she was reading for, and it was spirit teaching her what this person that came in was carrying. She just got afraid, I'd say. And I can understand that she did, because sometimes you're dealing with very dark energy with people that have passed over and what they may have done to the sitter.
And can I just say to people that if you do have an experience, try not go down the fear route, because that's what they prey on.
Of course, yeah.
Personally, I've seen, one or two things in my own time, and I could easily have, gone down the fear route, and I just kind of looked and accepted it and thought, okay, and then just went back asleep.
Yeah.
And that way, it just giving them the fear energy means that they'll prey on that. But if you don't have the fear to it, now it depends on the situation, because if some people are not used to it, then it can be quite frightening.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So tell us, we have a few minutes before we get all your contact details. We have a few minutes. Where do you see spiritualism going at the moment? Because Ireland was very, compared to the UK with all the spiritual churches and everything else, Ireland is just way behind that. So where do you see it going now?
You see, this what we were talking about this yesterday as well. You see, people we're opening up more, and I do feel that there is a huge progression. But as you say, we're still slow, we're still dawdling behind a little bit, and that's because we're like, as that gentleman said, Chris said, when God talks to you, you're crazy or whatever. So there's still that taboo around the whole flipping subject. She'll look at that one, she's away with the fairy. She'll look at this one, they're talking, spouting love and light and all this crap and hugging trees and blah blah blah. So you still have those people there that are so close-minded. So that's what I think is keeping us in that, just keeping us, it's almost like we're being pulled back a little bit. But there's enough of us now being awakened to start to make a change, and I do feel it's going to really, like, even what Spirit are saying to me here at the minute is by the end of this year and into the dawn of next year, there's going to be a huge big difference in this country.
Yeah, and people need to stand in their own energy. The one thing that I used to say to people in my circle, it wasn't just about spiritual development, it was about personal development. To find your confidence, to turn around to these people and go, yeah, I am a medium, so what? What's the problem with it? And to stand in your own confidence, because there's people who are, they were very gifted as a medium, but they were shy, and they didn't want to tell people because of the ridicule. And the one thing, again, we talk about the 33% thing, and we've said it before on the show, is you won't please everybody. So stand in your own confidence and be the person who you should be, not the person they want you to be. And be confident with it. And that's what I'd kind of, I have said to people that were in my circle, is to find your own confidence. And this is why Julie was brilliant, because Julie not only found her own confidence, she went ahead and opened up the spiritual centre in Oldcastle.
Yes.
And fair play to her for doing it, because, you know, it's going great guns. And she's doing her own thing, and we're doing our thing. Unfortunately for myself, my path wasn't down the spiritual route. Obviously, Spirit obviously said, look, we want you to have an experience of this, but this is not where you're going. You're going to be going down the OYM route with the radio show, but we need you to know about this, so you can actually, you know, talk about it and deal with it, I suppose. And I'm learning as much as everybody else.
Exactly.
But a big thank you for coming on, Siobhan. Much appreciated.
Oh God, thank you.
It was great, great information. Always great talking about spiritual stuff.
I love it.
I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your contact information to let people know what's going on.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Siobhan, I have to say there is a lot of positive feedback on both of the chat rooms there, so I want to say thanks from
much.
all the listeners for sharing the information with us tonight. If people want to find out more about Siobhan Brady and what she does, and maybe how to contact you for a possible reading, etc., can you just give us out some details?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook under my name, Siobhan Brady, and then I also have a business page, Soul Healer, Siobhan Brady. My email is soulhealer44@gmail.com, and you'll get any phone number and everything is on my page if anybody wants to text me or anything like that. But you get me on Messenger, you get me on Facebook, and I just want to plug here, if I may be so bold.
Go ahead.
I'm doing a show here in Mullingar in September. And it's my first show, and it's a show with a different sky. It's not just a normal it's not just a normal psychic show or a mediumship show. It's a spiritual show, and I will of course be giving messages to the audience and that. But there will be healing and there will be singing, complete with a live band, because I also sing, and it'll be very spiritual songs, and some of them are my own original stuff. And that will be taking place on the 20th of September coming. So I'm very excited by it, and that also, it's you'll find details of that on my Facebook page, and there's a link there now to PayPal for anybody who'd like to jump on board and buy themselves a ticket or an entry.
Brilliant stuff. What if people want to contact you for a private reading, Siobhan? What do they need to do?
Yeah, they can contact me through the email, or they can text me on 087 22 64 666. But I get a lot of people through Facebook, so a lot of people come to me through Facebook, because I do Skype readings, I do one-to-one readings, I do Skype healings, I do one-to-one, all of that, so there's no problem there. Okay,
because we have an international audience as well. And if they want to contact you, they'll find you on Facebook, or they'll find you on Skype, Siobhan Brady on Skype, and you can link up with Siobhan if you want to do a reading with Siobhan, but she's available on Facebook as well to just see what she's up to these days. Siobhan, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Much appreciated. We're just going to go to a musical break. Just stay with us there for a minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll be back with you in a minute.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com and peoplesinternetradio.com.
I want to apologise for the little bit of dead air. We were just quietly chatting here in the background, and then all of a sudden there was no music. Sorry. We didn't go anywhere.
No. It just happens. We start getting into a conversation. I forget we're doing a radio show. Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. That was great information from Siobhan. And the problem is over here in Ireland, and I noticed when I come back over from the UK, is that there was no spiritual circles to actually join, development circles to join. Now, I did manage to find one when I was in Dublin, but when I moved out to the country, there was none. So that's why I set up my own circle based on what I learned from the UK. And over in the UK, they have certain ethics. They have the spiritual unions, and there's kind of rules and regulations and ethics to go by. And CERT is one of the things that they teach you as a medium, to certify, evidence, reason, and terminate. And, you know, if you get a medium and they're doing a reading and they say to you, oh, I have your grandparent here and she has grey hair. Oh, well, that's brilliant, because a lot of them do have grey hair. That's very vague. So what CERT does is certify, okay, who is it? A grandparent, evidence, right, well, I have your grandfather here, he's grey hair, he's got a wooden leg, he's got medals and he smokes a pipe. That's good evidence. The reason, well, he's come back just to say he loves you and everything's great over where he is. And terminate, thank you very much, here's a rose to say thank you or whatever, right? So that's CERT. Certify, evidence, reason, terminate. And these are the things you're taught over in the UK when you go to the spiritual churches. But over here in Ireland, in my experience, what I've seen, none of this is being taught. And it's just a medium decides to set up a circle and they sit in the circle and they just teach people what they know, where they didn't actually kind of spend time in like the spiritual churches and to kind of learn certain things. Now, there is a spiritual union over here and I'd like to think they are kind of teaching people properly, but you'll probably find that a lot of them are in the cities and there's very few out in the country. Which is a pain, because as more and more people are kind of waking up to spirit and they want to get involved and they want to develop, and not necessarily develop as to be a medium to do readings, they might just want to go along to the meditation and they enjoy the energy, because not everybody wants to do mediumship. A lot of people might just want to do other things, and I wasn't a medium, I was a facilitator. So what I did is I just facilitated the circle. There was people in my circle who were brilliant mediums and blew me away, and that was brilliant. You know, basically I just was a facilitator. How they link to spirit, you know, I couldn't teach them that because they could get that link with spirit. But what I could teach them was the ethics and the exercises that we did. Every week there was a different exercise to develop your psychic muscle or your spiritual muscle, and also the psychological development to develop your confidence in you as a person. All that is all relevant and all very important. I had ran the circle for a few years, but obviously, you know, the powers that be, from a spiritual point of view, had different ideas, and obviously decided that OYM was my path and where I had to go, so that's where I ended up doing OYM. But it was good experience in that time, and I still get involved in some spiritual stuff, but not as much as I used to. So if you are looking for a medium, go on recommendations, and make sure that you don't give them any information. They should be telling you stuff. You shouldn't be telling them stuff. Alright? And if you do join a circle, the first thing that you need to be learning is protection. If they don't teach you that on the first day, don't go back, because they should know that. That's the first thing they should teach you, and a few other things as well. So it's very important. So for your own protection, because you hear all the time about negative energies, energy vampires, and they're there. We've had people on the show talking about it, so you know they're there. And you just have to know how to protect yourself from it. And as we've said before, all these energies are bringing things from the past back up now. And maybe part of the why we don't feel well, Steve, is maybe just old ailments coming up or something, I don't know. But the shadow side has to be dealt with. Emotional things that happened in the past that you have to deal with before you move on and go up to a higher level. So that has to be dealt with either way. Has to be dealt with. But so there you go. That's it. Great information from Siobhan. Our guest next week is Richard Cumbers. Richard, as you know, has been on the show before, and he taught us all about the Pain Genie, and we do the Pain Genie, but he's done so much more from the Pain Genie now. The technology he has is phenomenal. One of the things, he has a program, a Russian program, which scans the whole body, and he can drill down to a particular body part and tell you, have a rating, like from 1 to 6, as to where the problem is in the body part and what you need to do to fix it. I mean, it's unbelievable software that he has, and he did it to Harry Rhodes. I was watching the video that he did with Harry. So Richard is coming on next week, and we'll have a chat with Richard about that software and just about things in general. So if there's anything that you want to touch base with Richard, any ailments or any things that you want to ask about, formulate the question, send it over to us, or be ready next week in the chat room, and we'll pass off the question to Richard. What have you got planned for the week? Anything interesting?
No, nothing in particular. To be totally honest with you, I'll just keep an eye on these aches and pains, because obviously if it turns into a lot of aches and pains, I might have to go and see the local quack, or get an intense. I'll come up here and you'll have to give me an intense pain genie treatment. But other than that, no, we're just gonna see what the week brings in. Just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, there's an awful lot going on. We are waiting on a few people to produce a few videos on YouTube so we can see what their comments are regarding the energies, because there were so many kind of promises made that things would be happening, especially in the month of August. But I'm hearing that there's one lady we've asked to come on, and she seems to be very spot on with a lot of things. She hasn't got back to us yet. She has agreed to do the show, but she hasn't confirmed the date, which is not. She's after Richard actually, and her name's Aluna, and she does videos quite a lot. And I actually like the information she talks about, and she does tarot readings and stuff like that. And I said, will you come on the show and tell us all about the energy levels, what's happening on the planet? And obviously we should probably talk about the shadow side and stuff like that. So hopefully she gets the email. She's been inundated with emails at the moment. A lot of people are sending her emails, so her email is probably in the queue somewhere. So I will chase her up to try and get her on, because I do think she has very important information regarding the New Earth and what's happening at the moment. I feel that she has a very good grasp on things, so I've asked her to come on and talk about it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get her on. But that's it all for me. I'm not. I don't have anything planned this week. From a day-to-day point of view, I do a few bits for the men's shed, as you know, get involved with the men's shed and the local men's shed, which is enjoyable. But there's no other.
I think it's fair to say you're probably the youngest member.
I don't know.
You're not the oldest anyway, yeah?
No, I probably am the youngest member, funny enough, yeah.
Yeah. He's only a young guy.
I'm only a young guy, yeah, but I'm over the speed limit. And
which one?
You're coming up to the speed limit, yeah, this year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, it's near that time, so for myself, Alan James, take it easy, have a great week, stay safe. If you have any information of interest, you, as usual, send it over to us. I hope you enjoyed the evening. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, and don't forget info@oymradio.com is the email address if you want to communicate with us, or you can give us a ring. You may get the answering machine, but don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Anyway, Barry Prince is back. The big puzzle on People's Internet Radio coming up any moment now, and we're going to be looking forward to that. So a big welcome back to Barry, and we'll be back here at the same time next week from 7 to 9 p.m. GMT. So until then, for myself, Stephen George, and all the team here, all the team,
me and you,
all the team. OYM Radio.
Yeah.
We'll say we'll catch you next week. Take care, and thanks to everyone for joining us on the chat room. You're all very welcome. Until next week, bye bye.